Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. So, today we're unpacking a really deeply moving story. It's about hidden struggles, the heavy burden of family expectations, and just ultimate quiet resilience. This isn't some story about loud victories or sudden magical miracles. Not at all. It's actually a methodical breakdown of what it really takes to survive when the odds and literally your entire environment are just completely stacked against you. So get ready, because the insights we're about to uncover here are profound, and I think this journey is going to fundamentally change how you view unseen struggles. I want you to really think about this for a second. What actually happens when you arrive in a completely new world with a heavy bag, an even heavier mind, and literally nothing but dreams? Picture this. We're introduced to a boy from a small town, stepping onto this massive campus of an engineering college in a totally foreign city. He didn't show up with dreams of, weekend parties or some thriving social life. No, he arrived carrying this massive, invisible weight of responsibility on his shoulders. He brings absolutely nothing but his hopes to a place that just feels entirely alien to him.
Okay, let's dive into this because the contrast on day one is just staggering. On one side, you have the loud reality of his peers, right? It's a blur of fast-spoken English, instant friendships, group chats popping off, people laughing at reels, the whole shebang. But his reality? It is entirely silent. He hits this harsh wall of language barriers. He's just left standing there, completely confused in the middle of a crowded room. And when he does try to speak, he gets laughed at or just entirely ignored for being quote-unquote different. And so, well, he simply stops speaking entirely. His hostel room doesn't become a place of comfort. Instead, it turns into his first real test of isolation. He's just lying awake, staring at the ceiling, surrounded by voices, but living in a silence that nobody even notices. Now, think about this quote for a moment. He understood the subjects, but not the people around him. I mean, that really captures the core of his alienation, doesn't it? His academic capability wasn't the immediate problem here. It was just completely overshadowed by his social isolation. Silence literally became his only language. Just imagine the sheer frustration of that, having the brainpower to tackle incredibly complex engineering concepts, but totally lacking the words or the cultural currency to just say hello to the person sitting right next to you.
And the isolation wasn't just social either. It was intensely practical. There's this massive hidden price to his survival. See, his family isn't rich. The mess food provided by the hostel simply isn't enough to keep him full, but he absolutely cannot afford outside food. So what does he do? He skips the small things. No evening snacks, definitely no social outings. He wears the exact same old clothes, and when his friends are ordering food together, he puts on a brave face, swallows his pride, and just tells them, "Oh, I already ate." He essentially teaches himself how to smile right through the physical pain of hunger, just hiding his poverty behind a polite refusal. Look at this line. Every rupee had a purpose, and every wish had a price he couldn't pay. This isn't just about some college kid being a little short on cash until the end of the month. No, this is about carrying the profound sacrificial weight of his hardworking father's money. Every single rupee spent on his education feels like a massive sacrifice from his family back home. He literally can't bring himself to spend money on a quick snack because he knows that money is intimately tied to his family's very survival. Now, as if those social and financial burdens weren't enough to break someone, the academic reality hits. And it hits fast. Lectures are flying by at absolute lightning speed. Teachers just assume everyone is following along perfectly. Assignments are piling up higher and higher, and he's totally paralyzed by this trifecta of hurdles: a profound fear of judgment from his peers, deep hesitation over his language skills, and an absolutely crushing loss of self-confidence. He's burning the midnight oil, chugging coffee to replace sleep, and yet the concepts just aren't clicking. But instead of raising his hand to ask a question, he internalizes the struggle. He just hides it. But it is absolutely vital to make this distinction. He was not weak, he was just left behind silently. I want to be super clear here. His academic struggles were not a sign of laziness or some character flaw, not at all. He was experiencing a slow, invisible drowning under the immense pressure of his environment. He was basically fighting a war on three separate fronts: socially, financially, and academically, all while being completely devoid of any support system whatsoever. And that brings us to a painfully relatable contrast: the social media illusion. He's scrolling through his phone late at night, seeing his peers living out what college is supposed to be, right? Inside jokes, weekend trips, new relationships, parties. Interestingly enough, studies actually show that nearly 70% of first-year college students report feeling severe loneliness, and it's largely exacerbated by this exact kind of digital comparison. Because, you see, when he looks up from his phone, his unseen truth is a messy desk, the harsh glare of a laptop screen, scattered notes, and burning, tired eyes.
He's not outbuilding memories. He is quite literally just building his survival. Then, the phone rings. It's his mother. She asks if he's eating properly, if he's stressed out. He looks around his messy room, feels his own deep, heavy exhaustion, remembers all his unpaid struggles, and he quietly replies, "Yes, Ma, I'm fine." But fine is a lie. His voice even shakes slightly as he says it. He swallows his massive emotional pain, hiding his severe stress from the people he loves most, simply so his family can sleep peacefully at night. To him, their peace matters so much more than his own comfort.
So all of this weight, the hunger, the silence, the failing grades, the constant lies to his mother, it all culminates into one agonizing question. Do I even belong here? It's 2 a.m. in the hostel. He's just received a bad exam result. The money stress is peaking. The loneliness is just absolute. The exhaustion is overwhelming. He's sitting on his bed in total silence, just staring into the dark. And for the very first time, he seriously thinks, maybe I'm not made for this.
Not all breakdowns are loud. Some happen quietly at 2 a.m. I really want you to reflect on that for a second. Think about your own quiet moments of near defeat. You know those dark moments when no one is watching, when the tears don't even fall, but the internal collapse just feels absolute? That is exactly where he is right now. This is the precise moment where most people would just quit. Giving up feels like the literal only logical option left on the table. But then, the next morning arrives, and something shifts. He remembers his family's sacrifice. Now, he doesn't wake up flooded with joy or some magical motivation. That's a movie myth, right? Psychologically speaking, motivation is a super fleeting emotion. It's highly dependent on how we feel in the moment. But discipline? Discipline is a hardwired habit. It acts completely independently of our emotions. So he wakes up feeling empty, completely devoid of motivation, and chooses not to quit anyway. He replaces his missing motivation with cold, hard discipline.
And let's be clear, this turnaround isn't magic. It is a methodical, step-by-step procedure. Step 1, he wakes up early, beating the noise of the day. Step 2, he studies slowly, straight up refusing to be rushed or overwhelmed by the fast pace around him. Step 3, he painstakingly rewrites his notes to literally force comprehension. And finally, step 4, he pushes past the fear of judgment to ask small doubts. He doesn't become strong overnight. No, he begins to rebuild his survival painfully and incredibly consistently.
As you can imagine, progress is painstakingly slow. Over the first few days, he is solely focused on just building that self-driven discipline. Then, as weeks turn into months, his grasp of the language improves, and you start to see this quiet confidence take root. Eventually, the marks slightly rise, and 1 or 2 genuine friends finally appear. It's not a massive crowd, but it's real connection. He stops expecting everyone to support him. He didn't magically find the perfect college life, but he successfully built a manageable one. So we finally see him standing alone on the campus balcony at night, looking out over the city lights. But the silence isn't suffocating anymore, it's actually peaceful. He once thought loneliness was his weakness, but it became his teacher. He has finally conquered his internal environment. He realizes that, look, not everyone will understand your journey, but if you put in the quiet, agonizing work, one day they will have absolutely no choice but to respect your results. He stopped chasing people and started chasing his future. Now, why does this actually matter for you, watching this explainer right now? Because if you are currently navigating your own unseen pressures, whether that's imposter syndrome at a new job, crushing financial stress, or just feeling completely isolated in a crowded room, this mindset shift is your way out. You cannot control the noise of the people around you, but you can control your own discipline. You can stop seeking validation from a crowd that doesn't even understand your sacrifices and start actively chasing the future you are trying to build.
Remember this, your struggle is not the end. It's the beginning of your strongest version. Keep your head down and just trust your quiet discipline. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with this question to carry with you. What is one silent battle you are fighting right now, and how can you replace your need for motivation with undeniable discipline starting tomorrow morning?